I want to thank you for taking time to do this. I really do.
Oh, good. My pleasure. You know that.
40 years in the for an association. That's a milestone worth marking. But anyway, I'm Pete Gustafson. I'm being joined today by Gary Stern of Stern Pinball, and Gary's got some legacy in this business, going back. I don't know, Gary. Dare I say?
73 years in the pinball side of it.
Wow.
My father started as an operator in the 30s, but in 1947, he came to see his supplier. He became a distributor. Then he came to see his supplier, Harry Williams, and sitting behind Harry's desk, kidding around as a 35-year-old punk kid. I can say that because I'm more than twice that age. He put his feet up on the desk and on Harry's desk and kidding around said, "Why don't you sell me the company?" So Harry goes up in his airplane, flies around Chicago for 3 hours and sold Sam, my father, half a Williams. So
wow.
I hung around pinball manufacturing and its customers since I was 2.
Wow. That's something else, man.
So that makes it 73 years. And well, I'm not bored. And I'm not bored.
Thanks for keeping the silver ball going. It's one of my 4 intrinsically American things. My list includes pinball, bourbon, baseball, and blues. Those are my.
There you go. American well, I owned a blues bar, so I'm good for that. Yeah. As a vodka drinker, I've taken up drinking rye, not bourbon. But
okay, you're to be forgiven.
Thank you.
So talking about the association, it started January 29th. You might not remember this. 1981.
No, I don't.
January 29th, 1981. It was called the Amusement Device Manufacturers Association. And then a year later, in June of 82, it was changed to the Amusement Game Manufacturers Association. It wasn't until February of 85 that it became the AAMA as it's known today. But go back to that beginning.
Well, actually, you have to go back a little before the beginning.
Okay.
And what had happened that made us first talk as a group of manufacturers. Remember, this started as a manufacturers association.
That's right.
Not distributors and not associate members or what have you. We were just manufacturers, and it all started out before the association. There were new FCC, Federal Communication Commission rules coming into effect for games and for telephones and for TVs and for everything. And so we wanted to be heard as to what we could do and should be done. Dave Murawski of Midway and I had a group meeting at the Standard Club downtown Chicago. It must have been 78, 79, I don't know, whatever it was, a long time ago. And at that time, my pinball company was Stern Electronics. And we agreed among a group of us that some of us would go to Washington and go to the FCC. Now, I don't even remember the trip, but apparently we did. And I don't mean because I drank too much. It mean because it's a long time ago. So apparently that's, we did that. And then sometime after that, Joe Robbins, we were on in Chicago on Diversity Avenue, and around the corner on Paulina was Bally, and Joe Robbins, who we all know was the first head of the association.
Yeah.
Joe Robbins got hold of Billy O'Donnell Jr. Bill O'Donnell Sr. was the head of Bally. Yep. Billy O'Donnell Jr. worked, worked for his father just as I had worked for my father.
The first guy I worked for in the business was Billy O'Donnell Jr. He was the first guy I worked for in the business. Yeah, 1980 Valley Pinball.
Okay. Well, I'm a big believer in nepotism, and we still practice that. So any event, Joe says we should have an association. You guys should start an association. So although Billy wasn't really involved after, we got folks together, he was the Bally guy. That's how we started organizing for it. Now, this was the second manufacturers association, because there was one before that.
Huh.
As I get the story, at their second meeting, it was Bally, probably Chicago Coin, Williams, Gottlieb, and this was in 1949. I don't know if anybody else was involved in it at the time, as Midway was, because it was a separate company. I don't know.
Yeah.
But at that meeting, I guess the way I get the story, I guess it was Dave Gottlieb made a motion that anybody who made gambling devices be excluded from the association.
Okay.
So Herb Jones of Bally seconded the motion, got up and left, and that was the end of the association. Because Bally made bingos and what have you. I don't know if they were making slot machines yet. So
sure. No, I got a couple Herb Jones quotes on my desk. He's
you always do, right?
Yeah, exactly. He was quite a wordsmith, that guy.
Yeah. So any event, that's how it all got started. Was Joe suggesting that Billy and I get manufacturers together, and we did. So once again, it was a manufacturers association.
Right.
It was prior to having a trade show where we were paying dues, sometimes substantial based on your volume.
Yep.
We have to thank Sega for having big volume in those days, because they paid a lot of the dues, and off we went.
So how long were you involved with the association early on? You were on the original board of directors.
Yeah, I don't know. I was on it for a while. I don't think I was ever an officer. I was on the board for, many times. I remember when we started our trade association, I was probably the troublemaker with that. And I mean, our trade show.
Yeah.
And that's how associations, we were dues before that, but that's how, and by the way, remember, it was started because we were worried about government and the FCC. We had taken care of that. And it was later that everybody got involved with the video copying and what have you, and the association worked on that.
Who was invited to join? Who
would have been all the manufacturers at the time.
And there was a whole bunch
all manufacturers, nobody but manufacturers.
So 40 years, what's changed the most about the business since then?
A lot of things have changed. The customers changed, and the segments have increased. The more segments, the customers change. The other thing, though, is we're competing with a lot of other entertainments.
Without a doubt.
We were out-of-home entertainment, and we're now in-home entertainment, but there was no internet.
Yep.
There was no streaming. There was no Netflix.
Yep.
There was no games on your phone.
Yep. There were no cell phones.
We were, coin-op was it.
Yeah.
That's all there was. So the technology has changed. The location based, the type of locations, home, collector, and operator, and the operator type locations have changed. So yeah, there's been a lot. Less true manufacturers.
Yeah.
More the manufacturers are really creators, not manufacturers. Back Midway created non-pinball machines, but they built them themselves. Atari built their own games. Everybody built themselves. Now, not the case.
I think back over the 40 years, right? I mean, would you have thought 40 years ago you'd still be building pinball machines today?
40 years ago, who thought about the future like this? Now, I have to tell you, we have a plan. We have to have some succession planning here, but I'm never leaving. Because
fantastic.
I got a card one day. I picked it up in this bar actually, and it was for a taxidermist. So I gave the gentleman a call, and I have a quotation to stuff me, but with moving eyes, and I will be standing in the corner of the conference room forever watching.
I don't want to see that happen any day soon, but when it does, I do want to see that you're standing in that corner. So we're wrapping up here. I have a question for you. There was a period of time here, was it 10 years ago or however many years ago when
08, 09, the Lehman Brothers recession.
Yeah. I mean, how were you able to keep the faith, if you would, and believe that this was a product worth saving? There had to be times and doubts where you're like, I don't know.
Well, I needed a job. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, people who get in it don't want to leave. Dave, my partner, will tell you. We were just doing an interview together, and he sees these people don't leave. You look at who we got here. Michael Downs been with me since '86. Shelley predates this company. Eddie Spears, our head buyer, has been here probably since '86, 80.
Wow.
You know,
Oh, yeah, since you started. Yeah.
all kinds of people. People don't leave.
Yeah.
It gives us a good living, a good life. It's fun. We're not making heart-lung machines. We're making fun.
Yeah.
It's fun, and all you need to do is be tenacious. Just stick with it, and if everyone would do that, we'll be cool.
Yeah. Well, pinball's a passion, right? I mean, that's
Absolutely.
surrounded yourself with people that share that passion. And
Yep, it's a vocation and avocation.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I won't take any of your time, Gary. Thanks for joining me today. 40 years. You got anything you want to say to the audience before we part on 40 years of AAMA? Something you started?
Well, I'm very happy to have been there at the right time for doing that. Thank you, Joe Robbins, who encouraged us to do it. And the most important thing I can say to whoever is listening to this is play pinball.
That's not bad advice.